I sat down at youth group and heard someone say, Emma got kicked out for speaking the truth. I asked what happened, and they said, the church banned her for calling out politics in the pulpit. At my church, the youth group has a band that leads worship during youth services, and every few weeks, they also lead worship on Sunday mornings when the regular worship team has a break. I'm not in the band, but I often help with the lyric PowerPoints along with another girl, though we don't assist when the band plays on Sundays. The lead singer of the youth band is the daughter of one of the youth assistants, and she also serves as an assistant herself. Let's call her Emma, she's 20. I'm writing about what happened the last time the youth band led worship on a Sunday, June 30th, which ultimately led to Emma and her family leaving the church. During a break between songs, Emma shared that she felt compelled to speak about Christian nationalism, saying it wasn't of God, because forcing people to believe in something contradicts the foundation of Christianity, as God granted free will. She also mentioned that there would be no short and narrow path if people were forced to walk it. Additionally, she criticized Project 2025, stating that although it was marketed as Christian, it did not reflect God's teachings because God never forced belief upon anyone. No one immediately reacted to her statement, and the band continued playing, finishing the set and the final song after the pastor's sermon. However, when we gathered for youth group that Friday night, Emma and her mother were absent. The youth pastor later informed us that they would no longer be involved with the youth group, mentioning something about giving others a chance to be lead singers, but it was clear Emma had left the church. Word quickly spread among the band members that Emma had actually been banned earlier in the week and that her parents chose to leave the church with her. The band already knew about this before the rest of us found out at youth group. The reason I'm sharing this is because of a private conversation I had with the band and the other girl who helps with PowerPoints that same Friday, after the youth pastor's announcement. Long story short, the band is upset about what happened to Emma, and they've been throwing around ideas on what to do. The one they're heavily considering is a walkout the next time they're scheduled to play on Sunday after playing the intro song. Service opens with an intro song before someone comes on stage to welcome everyone before worship continues, and they would voice support for Emma before walking out together. They haven't told anyone not associated with the band because they don't want anyone to spill the deets. But the main thing we're debating is repercussions from our parents and whether or not it's worth the risk. There's likely a few weeks until the band plays on Sunday again, and they still haven't decided on a new lead singer yet. I also want to add that the church didn't upload the worship portion of the service with Emma and only uploaded the sermon from that day. They always include worship on their YouTube upload of the service. Most of the concerns were around tuition punishments, as some of them have their parents helping pay, but they still want to do something. And while I'm not in the band technically, aside from coordinating PowerPoint lyrics occasionally, I figured the least I could do was get advice from other adults anonymously because we don't want to ask our parents for obvious reasons, and maybe others could see more pros and cons that we can. I appreciate any advice that anyone gives and will relay it to the band too. Thanks to anyone who read this too. Edit: I forgot to add this detail in my post, but the pastor of our church has used the pulpit to speak politics in the past and has even mentioned support of a presidential candidate on numerous occasions, along with other political topics on occasion too, Roe v. Wade and gay rights. So while I agree that politics probably shouldn't be spoken in church, some of the band said that Emma was tired of the often political topics being brought up during sermons, thus why she said what she said. Update: I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. I never expected such a big response, and many of you gave really helpful advice. This is a small update with some surprising developments since then. First, the band is still committed to going through with the walkout. They're keeping it strictly within the group to prevent word from spreading to parents who might alert church leaders. It would have been great to involve others, but the risk of the church finding out beforehand was too high. Second, we now have a date, August 4th, when the youth band will once again lead worship for the adult service. Third, the youth pastor has appointed a new singer from within the group who will rotate with other participants in upcoming Sunday services. Fourth, the new singer agrees that the way the church handled Emma's situation was completely unfair. Fifth, and most exciting, 2 band members told some non-religious relatives about everything that's happening and their concerns about possible backlash. Their relatives have agreed to come to the service and wait in the parking lot so that the band members can go straight to their cars after the walkout, for safety. They won't leave the lot to avoid any accusations of kidnapping, but the plan is for us to get into their cars immediately. The rest of us are also reaching out to our own relatives to do the same. Sixth, one of the band members told a teacher they know from school, and the teacher is considering coming and walking out too. And seventh, one of the band members wrote a short speech for the lead singer to read before they walk off stage. They're hoping someone with editing experience can help refine it or suggest any additions. A separate post about the speech will be coming soon. Here's how we hope it will go down. The band will start with the opening song, which officially begins the service and signals people to head inside from the foyer. After the welcome and opening prayer, the lead singer will deliver the speech before the entire band walks off stage. I'll be walking out with them from the pews, along with friends and relatives. One of my relatives mentioned possibly bringing others as well, which could make an even stronger statement if adults join the walkout. To ensure there's a record of what happens, one of the relatives will also film the entire event, just in case some parents react badly. I'll post an update once everything unfolds. If anyone has any further advice, it would be appreciated, and I'll bring it to the band. Most of the band, outside of 2 seniors, aren't old enough to vote this year, but this is a chance to stand up for what's right against something that is adamantly infusing itself into Christianity, Christian nationalism, and making Christianity lose all of its respect in our opinion. We don't expect change to happen in the church as a result of our walkout, but it's a small thing we can do to say we did our part when faced with it ourselves. Another commenter put it best when she asked if we'd be able to live with ourselves if we did nothing, and the answer has been no for us so far. I also want to add something I forgot to clarify in my first post. Emma didn't say what she did out of the blue. She had been vocal about the pastor talking politics for some time according to the band, and I've seen much of it too. However, a lot of people sent DMs disagreeing with the band's decision. So before I get into it, I want to give specifics of what the pastor has done. The pastor mentioned Trump from the pulpit numerous times, including the aftermath of the 2020 election, to voice discontent over the results. He has also celebrated Roe v. Wade's overturning from the pulpit, Pride Month during June, and even compared Trump's legal trial to how Jesus was persecuted leading up to his crucifixion, things that have no place being vented about from the pulpit, and this has happened over the course of a few years. I received a few DMs in the aftermath of my first post, and some were encouraging while others not so much. A few people, who said they were Christians, said that Emma was wrong to use the microphone to hijack the service with her words because she should have talked to the pastor first while calling her actions immature. However, when I showed the band the advice from my posts, I also told them about the DMs, and they said that Emma spoke to a leader about the pastor's political sermons in the past. But nothing came from it as he continued to speak politics from the pulpit frequently. Some people also said that our walkout wasn't godly, because we, like Emma, would be hijacking the service for a publicity stunt when church was supposed to be about God. Some people called us immature, among harsher things. We disagree with the idea of staying silent for 2 reasons. First, if members of the church don't call out the misuse of the pulpit, then who will? Some people suggested in DMs that we should do nothing and simply pray for God to change the pastor's heart, but he has been doing this for years. Second, the Bible itself provides guidance on addressing improper behavior within the church, as seen in Matthew 18 verses 15 to 17. Dealing with sin in the church. 15. If your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault, just between the 2 of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. 16. But if they will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. 17. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church, and if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Emma has already spoken to a church leader one-on-one, and the band has expressed their frustration about her ban to the youth pastor. However, he dismissed their concerns and insisted that Emma was in the wrong. As for the instruction to tell it to the church, some may interpret that as informing church leaders rather than speaking to the congregation directly. But Emma and the band have already addressed the issue with multiple leaders, including an elder, yet the political sermons from the pulpit have continued for years. In Matthew 21 verse 12, when Jesus overturned the tables in the temple, he did so because people were using a sacred space for personal profit. We believe that politics in the church falls into the same category. It has no place in worship. Someone shared a link in the comments of my first post that I hadn't noticed before, but after showing it to the band, we all strongly agreed with the message. Pastor Lauren Livingston spoke about the role of politics in the church, emphasizing that Christianity and politics should not be intertwined. I still plan to discuss everything with my parents before August 4th, and I'll be sharing the band's prepared statement very soon. I truly appreciate everyone who has commented and offered their thoughts. Finally, I want to clarify that the walkout is entirely the band's decision. I am not part of the band, I only help with the lyric PowerPoint during youth services, and I am not even in their group chat with Emma. Some band members are weighing potential consequences from their parents, including 2 seniors who are worried about losing financial support for tuition. I will support whatever they decide, understanding that they need to consider their future. If they go through with the walkout, I will stand with them and leave from the pews. If they decide that the risks are too high and choose to back out, I will respect that decision and continue to support them in other ways. Update. I intended to respond sooner, but some events occurred around and after August 4th. Since my last update, the band ultimately decided against the walkout, largely due to Emma's influence. According to the band, Emma spoke to them a few days before August 4th after having a conversation with another band member who had serious concerns. This bandmate, a 15-year-old girl, confided in Emma about her fears of physical abuse from her parents. Emma then brought these concerns to the band and also highlighted the worries that senior bandmates had about losing tuition support. She told them that taking such a risk wasn't worth jeopardizing their future. Unlike the others, Emma had a full-time job and wasn't financially dependent on her parents, but many of the band members still were. She advised them to trust their instincts, especially if they feared potential consequences from their parents. One senior member mentioned that his parents had previously threatened to revoke his tuition over a different matter, which reinforced his hesitation. Since I am not in the band, I only handle PowerPoint lyrics and get song selections from them before youth group. I wasn't present when they spoke with Emma. However, both I and another person who helps with PowerPoint were informed afterward. Instead of performing on August 4th, the band privately submitted their resignations to the youth pastor the Friday before, ensuring that none of them played that day. They had also informed their parents beforehand, and several members clarified that their parents had never forced them to join the youth band, they had volunteered. However, that didn't mean they would stay silent about how Emma was treated. They preferred to voice their concerns in a way that wouldn't publicly embarrass their parents in front of the congregation, which could lead to losing certain privileges. Instead of a public walkout, they decided to share a written statement with Emma, who was preparing to explain her ban from the church. On August 4th, she posted her explanation along with the band's statement on her social media, and some band members reposted it. Emma also tagged the church's social media page, believing that a walkout might have caused more harm to the band than good. While this approach may not have reached as many people, they expected that word of mouth and rumors would spread naturally. Some bandmates also told their parents they would no longer attend that specific church, leading to disagreements in some cases, but likely less severe than the backlash they would have faced from a public protest. On August 4th, the 15-year-old girl attended church, but the senior members did not, although they returned the following Sunday. None of us, including myself, have attended youth group since the Friday before August 4th, and I personally did not attend on August 4th either. Two unexpected things also happened. I received a direct message from someone claiming to be from a Christian news outlet. Though I wasn't familiar with the outlet, they asked for permission to anonymously share the band's story in one of their newsletters, omitting the names of both the band members and the church. The band is currently preying on it and considering their decision. Additionally, a pastor reached out via DM, expressing that he was inspired by their story. He mentioned that pastors are meant to hold each other accountable and asked for the church's name so he could speak with their pastor directly. However, Emma and the band haven't made a decision on this yet. They want to pray about it first and ensure that the pastor is legitimate and that their actions wouldn't bring harm to the church. I told him I'd get back to him once they decide. Emma also shared with the band that her parents have barely spoken to her since she made her church statements, mainly due to the arguments that followed. Some assumed her parents left the church in solidarity after her ban, but that wasn't the case, they were banned as well. Emma explained that her parents felt blindsided by her statements and faced backlash because of them. Despite the fallout, she stands by everything she said, though they are currently not on speaking terms. The last thing I want to address is how I personally feel about everything, and then I'll share the band's statement from Emma's post. For me, this situation was the final straw in a long series of issues with this church, but it goes beyond just that. I struggle to understand how some parents prioritize church appearances over their children's genuine needs and desires, and I'm not talking about anything harmful, just normal things. Emma put it best in her statement. God gave everyone free will, yet the 15-year-old girl shared that she had faced physical abuse simply for not wanting to go to church in the past. That completely contradicts God's teachings. God never forced anyone to believe in him, but some parents strip away privileges if their children don't conform to their faith and church expectations. Personally, I don't have many friends, and I'm not even in the band's group chat. Everything I've learned about this situation came secondhand because I don't have a close relationship with any of the band members. They spend time together outside of church, but I only have one other friend from church. Being homeschooled my whole life has made it even harder to connect with people. My parents believe public school is too secular, so I wasn't allowed to attend. I've never been able to play official sports either, only games on the church field with my homeschool group, meaning I couldn't join leagues or high school teams. I just wish my parents had let me go to school. It feels like they don't trust that my faith is strong enough to handle the real world, as if they've kept me on training wheels for the past 17 years. Personally, I need a break from church. I understand that not all churches are bad, but the one I grew up in has made me question a lot. I've come to the decision that I no longer consider myself a Christian. When I was around 7 or 8, I said the salvation prayer, but looking back, I don't think that truly counted. At that age, you don't fully understand what you believe, you just absorb whatever your parents tell you. Right now, I need distance so that I can explore faith without bias, especially after witnessing some of my pastor's questionable actions over the years, like bringing politics into sermons. It reminds me of the people selling things in the temple before Jesus overturned the tables. Since Christianity is all I've ever known, I want to take the time to learn about other religions. That doesn't mean I'll never return to Christianity, but for now, I need an extended break. The way modern Christianity has become so entangled with hate and politics is deeply unsettling to me. I know there are genuine, good-hearted Christians out there, but I need to step away and gain a broader perspective. Without this break, I won't be able to approach my spiritual journey with an open mind. I've also had arguments with my parents about my decision to stop attending church, but that's a separate issue. Some of the band members have faced punishments for choosing not to go, which only reinforces what's wrong with this distorted version of Christianity. I hope this break will help me reset and figure things out for myself. The band's statement mentioned that they would no longer attend this church, but I don't know if parental pressure played a role in why some of them returned the Sunday after August 4th. Either way, here's the write-up they shared with Emma. It's longer and more detailed than what they likely would have been able to say if they had gone through with the walkout and had their microphones cut. This is one advantage of sharing their message on social media. Band statement, posted by Emma. As Christians, we are called to worship Jesus Christ. But how does one truly become a Christian? By making a personal choice, one that no one else can make for us. Unfortunately, too many people forget this fundamental truth. Jesus never forced anyone to follow him. In Joshua 24 verse 15, we are reminded to choose whom we will serve, yet many have overlooked the significance of free will, instead merging religion with political conservatism. The true purpose of Christianity is a personal relationship with God. It is not about Christian nationalism, and those who use faith as a means to control others are not true followers of Christ. As Christians, we are not called to judge others, only God has that authority. But when our church banned Emma and then misled the youth by claiming she chose to leave, we realized we could no longer be part of a church where the pastor prioritizes personal agendas over the gospel. Because of this, we have chosen to step away, and we pray that one day, the true Spirit of God will return to this place. Update. Something has been weighing on my mind lately, and I need to get it off my chest. I haven't been to church in weeks, and honestly, I hope I never go back. My parents aren't happy about it, and we've discussed it, but they haven't forced me to return. However, this latest situation was the final straw for me. Since my last update, one of the senior band members reached out to check on me and filled me in on what's been happening since Emma's post, which included their statement. The senior who called me, let's call him John, has started community college. The other senior, whose parents had threatened to pull their tuition, was not as fortunate. He was punished for quitting the band, while John faced no consequences. Meanwhile, the 15-year-old girl who replaced Emma as the lead singer, along with another bandmate, was forced by their parents to return to church. Emma has stayed in touch with the band since her post, and John gave me an update on her as well. Emma encouraged both seniors to find a new church, but the one who was punished said he had no interest. He admitted that he had only attended because his parents made him and had never truly been religious. John, who helped write most of the statement, said he was exhausted by the hypocrisy in the church and had no desire to return. Instead, he preferred to practice his faith privately. Emma was disappointed that the situation had pushed them away from church, but she wasn't actively searching for a new one either. She wanted to take time to rediscover herself. When John asked if I was considering finding a new church, I told him no, but I didn't go into much detail, only saying that I was tired. But now, I want to be more direct because there are things that have been deeply bothering me. A lot of people commented that our actions gave them hope for the future of Christianity. But honestly, reading that frustrated me. To be blunt, I despise modern Christianity in this country. I know it's not God's fault that so many Christians have become hateful, but my resentment toward it started long before this incident. I feel like I never truly had a childhood. I was homeschooled my entire life because my parents believed public schools were too secular. I barely have any friends, just one, really, and my social skills are terrible because the only people I ever interacted with were at Sunday service and youth group twice a week. My parents dictated what I could wear in the name of purity and never let me participate in sports or the fun activities most kids get to enjoy. But more than anything, I feel scared and alone, with no one to talk to. My entire life has been shaped by a religion that offers no concrete proof of its existence. And every time I tried to voice my doubts, my parents dismissed them, telling me I should know better, as if that were a real answer. What's gonna happen when my time on earth ends if there's no God or judgment day? All of my life would have been wasted on invisible beliefs, never truly living to please something that doesn't exist. I'm honestly terrified of that. Who am I to blame one day if they were wrong? I won't be able to blame anyone because it'll be too late. That doesn't seem like a way to live life. It's already too late for me to have a childhood. I just hope someone can ease my fears until I can afford to talk to a professional, so I'll keep my DMs open for any advice despite seeing a few comments calling me and the band cowards for not doing the walkout. It hurts to see comments saying that we gave hope for future generations of Christianity because Christianity is my parents' reason for never giving me a childhood. I'm done with Christianity because of that fear. I don't have enough substantial evidence to base my life on a what-if invisible God, and I'm already 17 having barely lived at all. I want to go to college, live a little, sometimes drink, and date someone not in church because it's my last chance before 9 to 5 working for the rest of my life, but I can't do that with constant guilt from purity and everything else extreme Christians try to guilt you with. Many thought I was passionate about Christianity from my last posts. But to be honest, I've hated Christianity long before this mess as a result of my distaste for homeschooling. It just felt good to be able to stick it to the church with the band's walkout idea and eventual post, using their scriptures against them for a change. But by no means am I passionate about Christianity when so many people use it to control lives like mine through homeschooling, and I hate that I know so much of the Bible too. And when you add how hateful and politically infused it has become in recent years, I want nothing to do with it because I don't want to be associated with it. Update. This will likely be my final post, as I've recently gained clarity on a lot of things. In my last post, I talked about my doubts regarding Christianity, including my fear of the afterlife. But beyond that, I realized I had been following Christianity purely out of habit. After all, my parents have taken me to church since the day I was born. However, over the past few weeks, I reached a breaking point over something they've told me my whole life, something I never truly processed until now. My parents have always said that God comes first in their lives, followed by their love for each other, with me and my brother coming third. I haven't mentioned my brother before because he wasn't involved in the church walkout or youth group. He's 11 and in the preteen program, but he's relevant to this post. My dad is a federal government worker, and dinner conversations often revolve around changes in government policies. You can probably guess which way my parents vote, something I've never understood, considering they support a leader who embodies values completely opposite to Christ's. It's hypocritical, but that's beside the point. My dad works remotely and doesn't live near a federal building, but he was recently informed that he'll have to start reporting to one once the logistics are finalized. Because of this, he has started searching for another job and has already accepted a resignation offer that was presented as an alternative. He assumed remote workers like him, who had been working from home even before COVID, would be exempt from the return to office policies, but that wasn't the case. What frustrates me is that my dad knew long before the election that the current administration would likely implement changes affecting federal workers, including the possibility of ending remote work. But he didn't care, he supported them anyway because they were the so-called Christian party. Before the election, he even commented that many teleworkers were just sitting at home doing nothing and should be brought back to the office, never considering that this might apply to him too. Now, he's resigned and is searching for a new job before his paycheck runs out in September. Yet, despite being the sole provider for our family, since my mom doesn't work, he doesn't seem concerned. Years ago, when a family friend lost their job, we helped them financially because we understood how devastating job loss can be. But my dad doesn't see his own situation that way. Instead, he continues to support the administration and insists that this is all part of God's plan, even though it's uprooting our entire family. He has even floated the idea of moving, which would force my brother to switch schools and leave his friends behind. And no, I don't know why he was allowed to attend public school while I wasn't. I sympathize with those who, like my dad, live far from a federal office and didn't vote for these policies. But for people like him, who blindly supported a candidate just because he was from the so-called Christian party, despite his sins and crimes, I just don't understand. He stands by our pastor when he praises the current president during church services. Yet, if that same pastor had spoken positively about the 46th president, I have no doubt he would have had a problem with it. Jesus warned about false prophets, but that's beside the point. If my dad continues to support this administration's treatment of federal workers despite being directly affected by it, I know I'll never be able to change his mind, so I won't waste my breath trying. He prioritized his Jesus candidate, an invisible deity with no proof of existence, over our family, even at the cost of uprooting our lives entirely. Right now, and for the foreseeable future, I no longer consider myself a Christian. I refuse to put an unseen, unproven God above the people in my life who truly matter, especially the ones I hope to meet after graduating. My dad has permanently lost my respect for tearing our family apart while still supporting a man whose actions contradict everything Christianity is supposed to stand for. It's become painfully obvious that, for many, calling themselves Christian is just a free pass to hate whoever they want and justify their support for wrongdoing, so long as it aligns with their side. And I have the 45th and 47th presidents to thank for making it so easy to see the difference between real Christians and those who merely use religion as a tool for hate. The latter have turned their faith into yet another golden calf, replacing Christ with something entirely different.